Okay, today I'm going to be reacting to why kids don't go outside anymore. Let's get into it.
Children and teenagers these days aren't going outside as much as before. 50 years ago, nearly half of all kids in America walked.
I mean, that is because there is stuff to do nowadays. Like, we have the internet, there's consoles, and I also feel like a lot of the consoles have gotten cheaper from when they first came out. Like, you could buy a pre-owned used PS4 for like maybe $150 now. So it's not surprising that people are using that. Plus the internet. Like, the internet's so much better. Plus, I feel like for outside stuff nowadays, there's just a lot less stuff to do. Like, I feel like instead of companies making new stuff and stuff like that to go outside with and stuff like that, I feel like it's gone more focused towards the internet as a thing to do. Like, I feel like most companies don't really make stuff to have fun outside with anymore. Plus, I feel like a lot of a decent scooter is as much as a PS4 usually is, man. Like, it's
Their bike to
insane.
school. Today, it's less than 13%. This is largely due to the lack of independence children have. Parents are more worried than ever about letting their kids go out on their own.
Bro, true. When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to like go out anywhere with my scooter because, well, stranger danger and stuff like that. Definitely because how sketchy a lot of small towns are. So I feel like there's just a lot of stuff you can't do as well.
Look at all these kidnappers outside. Look at them. However, stranger kidnappings are astonishingly rare, and these cases are always since
Even lower nowadays. It's because about when they were kids, it was like, or when they first got into like high teenage years, it was a lot more common now it is now. Nowadays, there's a lot more cameras, security, and there's a lot less chance. Everything's well lit, more well lit than it ever used to be. So the chances of it happening are a lot lower. It's just in the end, I feel like fear mongering, if that makes sense. Like, the parents grew up when they started happening really bad, so they end up teaching the kids on the expectation it's still as bad as it was back then. So
sensationalized in the media. The real threat to the safety of children are cars. Vehicle collisions are the number one cause of death.
Also, I feel like another big problem is a lot of big cities just don't cater for people walking around. Like, most, like, I'll watch another video of another React YouTuber watching it. A lot of well-known cities are just unwalkable or very hard to walk in. They're not made for walkability. They're made for cars. So it's a lot more sketchy, a lot more of these type of striped roads and stuff like that. It's just making it a lot harder, a lot sketchier to walk, where a lot of the time for you to cross a main highway street, you have to go 10, 20 minutes down the road, like, to do it. It's just isn't meant for people walking anymore. It's only made for cars.
Among children and teenagers, killing thousands and even tens of thousands every year. When you look at how our cities are designed, none of this is surprising. Modern suburbs, and especially American suburbs, are car dependent. Neighborhoods are endless mazes of single-family homes with streets laid out in winding cul-de-sacs. Businesses sit behind giant parking lots with wide multi-lane streets.
I also feel like a lot of places just don't build what's it called, skate parks anymore, man. I feel like they're kind of giving up on that idea.
Roads.
And a lot of council people don't maintain them well at all either.
Full of high-speed car traffic. This forces you to cross these big intersections designed for the flow of vehicles rather than the safety of people. This creates a vicious cycle where the dangerous streets make parents
like, bro, I mean, the only way to cross the road is you have to press the thing here, wait like 2 minutes, and then go across. A lot of people jaywalking, just, it doesn't seem like a fun time anymore, man.
drive their kids more, but by doing so, they're adding more cars to the problem. Recently, the channel Oh the Urbanity made a video about Miami, and they caught this footage of a school bus having to stop in an angle and block traffic just so kids can see.
That is insane though, man. If I see a bus stop, like, if I see a bus parked on like one of the left lane roads and standing still and has a lineup, who the hell is speeding next to it? Like, if it's stopped at the school, there's kids gonna hop on it or get off. Like, it's common sense, man. People need to get a grip.
Safely get off. Because drivers literally would not stop. So
That's
when everything's
just
too
insane.
far away and crossing the street is too dangerous, children have zero independent mobility until they turn 16 and get a driver's license. Most of the world sets their legal driving age to 18, and for good reason. Teenage drivers are 4 times more likely to crash than adults, mainly due to immaturity and inexperience. But in most of North America, teenagers as young as 16 can drive unsupervised.
Unsupervised? Jeez, what is it for Australia? You can drive 16 in Australia, but you have to get off your L's to drive by yourself, I'm pretty sure. You'll sit in your L's for a couple years. Honestly, I'm about 17. I haven't got my license. Main reason is I have a couple meetings. Main reason I don't have a job. I'm a homeless bum, basically, with no job. And I have a horrendously bad memory. I got to get that checked when I get older and get a job. Because I have a horrifically bad memory. So I want to get that checked, obviously, before I get a car. So it kind of makes sense. But other than that, I feel like I just know I'll do horrendously bad on the road. Like, I know I'm going to be a bad driver when I get my license. Like, you know, when you're around my age, like 16, 17, you know if you're going to be a good driver or not. Because, like, you can kind of, like, if you're on the passenger seat of the car, you can kind of, like, what you're doing in a situation. I always do horrible. Like, I'm so bad. Well, a lot of the time on the intersection, I forget which side I'm meant to be driving on. If I pretend like I'm driving, like, it's horrifically bad how my memory is.
Some places, it's as young as 14.
14 is stupid, bro. I think 16 is pushing it. Like, 17, 18, okay. 14, they're children, bro. How are they even going to see over the wheel? You see 14-year-olds. You see how immature they are? Hell no.
If we had viable alternatives to driving, our legal driving age wouldn't have to be so low, and teenagers wouldn't
I
have to...
do think it should be 18, but the problem is a lot of countries, even like Australian cities, don't cater for walking, man. And they really just don't care less.
risk their lives just so they can have some independence. Until then, children have to rely on mommy and daddy to chauffeur them everywhere. This is where the soccer mom stereotype comes from. Someone who spends...
I mean, like this is a classic highway road, or like in a city going to like a highway road. How the hell are you meant to get across this, man? Like, it's
all their
horrific.
time driving their kids to and from different activities. In car-dependent suburbia, dropping off or picking up kids from school becomes this massive ordeal, with cars backing up for miles of traffic. These schools may be far away and are sometimes in rural locations, but this is primarily due to sprawling car-centric design. Due to the low density of the suburbs, schools have to consolidate into fewer but larger facilities that are farther away, rather than having more smaller schools that are closer. Regardless, schools being in rural places does not justify the lack of infrastructure.
Bro, actually, I know, like, you have to press to wait, but, like, that's still sketchy as, man. Like, talk about also wasting 10 minutes, man. You have to go here, press the button, wait, press the button here again, they go across. Like, that's just a couple minutes of waiting if it's busy. Like, a lot of time people get off school, it is rush hour. Like, it's around, for some people, it's like around 4 p.m. People get off work around that time. Like, it's horrific traffic time, so you're waiting 10 years for it as well.
This beautiful video by Bicycle Dutch shows how majority of all children in the Netherlands bike themselves to school, even if it's miles away in a rural area.
They have their own road,
because they've built safe cycling infrastructure throughout all their cities and the entire country. We might not build bike lanes across the whole country like the Dutch, but even if a fraction of these...
Bro, I find stupid bike lanes being on the side of the road. Like, that's beyond stupid. Like, I do hate bikes being allowed on roads. I do have to say it. Being stuck if even in a car, being stuck behind somebody in a bike going like 10 miles an hour is such a piece of shit move. Like, I do think if you are gonna ride on the road, ride on the side of the road. That's why I feel like a lot of places need a bike lane, man. But like, also having the bike lane on the side of the road is just sketchy itself. Like, you should have a dedicated bit, a little, like, have like maybe a small little bit of wall to separate the actual cars from the bikes, which is how sketchy it is, man. Like, it's usually a thin line that's in between the cars and the bikes. Like, a lot of these amount of people will just zone out and not see it, man.
Kids were able to walk or bike to school, it would make a huge difference for both parents and the development of children. A 2002 psychology study asked elementary school students...
I also feel like the obesity rate in America would drop if they did it as well, but it'll be encouraging exercise, basically.
...to draw a map of their path to school, and the results were just sad. The child who walked to school on their own produced this accurate detailed drawing with various landmarks along the way. The child who walked with an adult got the orientation wrong, but still roughly identified the right directions. But this is the drawing from the child who was driven to school.
Well, that's usually because if you're being driven to school, number one, like, they have to be primary school, like, early primary school. But, like, if you're, like, been out of school for ages, you can tell what street you're meant to go down. But, like, with detail, you kind of just zone out in the car. So you don't need to think. So There'll be a lot of that as well.
Studies in Switzerland from the 90s found that children who freely played in their neighborhood on their own spent twice as much time outside, were way more active, had more than twice as many friends, and had better motor and social skills compared to kids who played in a park under parental supervision. Without independent mobility, children don't get as much exercise, contributing to the major child obesity crisis in the US. It also prevents
Also in Australia is pretty bad. I feel like the UK, Australia, and US is pretty bad with the rate of it.
them from, going out
Also,
and
like, I mean, bro, imagine you have to walk and cross this. It seems like a nightmare, man.
socializing. Studies show that children with less independence are lonelier as they have a weaker sense of community, lower sense of safety, and have fewer activities with friends. The emptiness of car-dependent suburbia also makes it feel more dangerous. In Jane Jacobs' book, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, she explains the concept known as eyes on the street. It basically means that vibrant and lively streets feel safer as there are more people around and thus more eyes to deter bad behavior. This is why dark alleyways or streets at nighttime feel
But I mean as well, like, would it feel better? I feel like dark streets with bad lighting is just always scary. Like, it gives you like alleyway vibes, man. Like, you can get jumped.
dangerous. But
It's just because it gets rid of your visibility.
without people regularly walking by or casual onlookers watching the street, suburbia feels lonely and creepy. If a child were to be kidnapped outside, no one would notice. Over the past few decades, this sense of danger has changed our cultural attitudes towards children being out on their own, to the point where it can literally land you in jail. Like Nicole Gainey, who was arrested and charged with child neglect for letting her son walk to the park alone. Or
What? How is that neglectful? That's so stupid. Just letting your kid walk outside. Yeah, 9 may be a bit young, but like if they're like, it's depending on how close the park is. If it's like maybe down the street, turn a left, another street, turn a right, who gives a shit? Like,
Deborah Harrell, who spent 17 days in prison and temporarily lost custody of her child, all for letting her daughter play in the park alone while she was working at a nearby McDonald's. And even
nearby McDonald's, that's fair, man.
more ridiculous case was Jackie Kendrick, who got reported to Child Services for letting her 2 kids play in her own backyard while she watched them inside.
Okay, who the hell reported that? Their next door neighbor, Karen? Like, that's pushing it even nowadays.
Some schools in the US even have rules not allowing anyone to walk at all. So even if you are with your child, you might end up like Jim Howie from Tennessee, who got arrested for picking his kids up from school on foot instead of driving a car.
You cannot get arrested for that, sorry. You surely cannot get arrested for that. Picking your kid, walking to pick up your kid, normal activities, man, what? I feel like it's also good for your kid as well. Like, if you live close, maybe a mile or 2 miles, and your kid maybe just being through is a little overweight, that will help the kid a lot. And you're arresting him for that? That's beyond stupid. And some people don't have cars, man. Like, some people aren't allowed to drive. Like, you really gonna arrest them for that?
Even if a child could
The
walk
police station should be sued for that.
or bike around on their own, car-dependent suburbia is bland. There's almost nothing to do and nowhere to go apart from a park or the shopping mall. Additionally, our public spaces are actively designed specifically to keep kids away. An example of this are those metal studs that are placed on benches or
To keep homeless people away, beyond stupid, man.
skateboarding.
Yeah.
Many malls, amusement parks, and even Chick-fil-A are flat out banning teenagers from entering without parental supervision.
What?
When the streets are too dangerous and there aren't any places to hang out in, is it a surprise that kids these days want to stay at home all day, playing video games and watching Skibbity Toilet?
These kids should not have 2 devices.
Social media apps like TikTok basically serve as online public spaces where people can share their voices in an open environment. However, this is just as problematic as Elon Musk saying that Twitter
It is. Internet itself is problematic. Like it's a good thing. Like, it's the same thing for AI. A lot of people hate it. It's a double-edged sword. It's good for electronic advancements, good for medical advancements. It's good for just the in general advancements of a civilization. It's bad for everything else, though, basically. Same for internet. Like, the internet's good, but with shopping, it's killing malls. That's why you see a lot of small malls close. And that also is part of this. A lot of malls close down, so there's even less for kids to do because everybody prefers online shopping because Number one, the prices are usually better because you can price shop better. Number two, also, it's just a lot easier and more convenient for a lot of people.
Will be the digital town square. With the recent motions to
I
ban
do think, though, malls are 100% peak, man. It's just a vibe, though. If you live near a mall, not to let you buy something like a big mall, just to have a look at stuff. Like, you don't need to buy anything. Just to have a look at new stuff, have a walk around. I feel like it's just such a vibe. But I feel like online shopping itself is a hit and miss type of thing. If you're looking for one exact thing, online shopping is perfect. If you're just browsing around, online shopping is bullshit. You can browse around with your eyes a lot better than you can do with the internet. You can just have a look through all the aisles, where you couldn't really do that with online shopping. So if you're looking for one exact thing and doing research, online's better. But if you're just browsing around in store and just in store itself is also a lot more fun as well.
TikTok in the US, there's a critical lack of true public spaces that are accessible to young people.
Yeah.
Car dependency in North America is not an inevitable thing. Suburbia doesn't have to be built this way. It's
I have a feeling this is like Australia cities he's putting in here.
possible to make our streets safer and encourage more outdoor activity by changing our infrastructure. This means narrowing streets, installing
Like, I mean, that would be good, man.
protected bike lanes, and adding traffic calming measures to slow down cars and prevent collisions. We also need to change our zoning laws to allow higher density houses and small businesses to be built in the suburbs so that people
Yeah.
can live closer to amenities. These changes don't only benefit children. When a city is
It
safe
also
and
supports small businesses. If you're small businesses down the street and sell something you like, what are you going to do? Walk? Let's say you have no car. Walk basically 30 minutes down the road to go to that store, or go to your local one, maybe a couple of neighborhoods away. You can also build almost like a family-owned business connection, like a casual customer connection with that non-chain store, man. Like,
comfortable enough for kids, then it's safe and comfortable for everyone. If you wouldn't
Yeah.
let your child ride in this bike lane by themselves, then no one will, because it's
that's a bike lane? Beyond stupid.
not designed properly. Period. This is why in the few remaining walkable neighborhoods that do exist in North America, you will see lots of children walking to and from school all by themselves. This is also very common in East Asian cities, which they've achieved by having good public transit and dense urban development that creates
I
eyes
also
on
feel
the
like
street.
these countries, oh, the whole world relies on cars too much, man. Like, they think if you don't own a car, you're fucked. Like, being for real, if you don't own a car nowadays, in the decent amount of countries, you can't be a civilized person. Like, you can't be part of basically a community, basically. Like, you can't be part of anything. You're stuck at a shitty level. It could be one. A lot of people just aren't cleared to drive. Let's say you have a medical issue, you have horrifically bad vision, or let's say you have dementia or some shit, low level dementia. That could make you not allowed to drive, or simply enough, which is a valid reason, you just don't want to drive. You know, be a bad driver. No, you shouldn't be allowed to drive. That's how bad you are. You shouldn't have a car then. You shouldn't be able to drive if you really are against it, like I am that much. But the problem is, if you don't, your life is basically, it's just too dependent. Public transport itself is usually pretty shit, and you have to pay for it itself, so it's pretty meh.
Not to mention the amount of pedestrian space you find, which provide attractive public spaces for teenagers to hang out. All of these things are completely possible to build in North America, but we just don't. Laws like zoning codes or parking requirements make it illegal to build anything other than car-dependent suburbs.
Yeah.
We also continue to throw money at expensive road infrastructure, leaving almost nothing for pedestrian or transit projects. Car culture is so prevalent that many people simply believe that anything other than cars are inherently worse. Cause yeah, when you spend ludicrous amounts of money subsidizing highways in suburbs, of course driving is going to be the only option. So even when bike lanes or public transit projects are proposed, you get tons of excuses from NIMBYs about all the traffic it will cause, or where am I gonna park my car? These people really like to blame the problems that cars create on other modes of transportation. Is your city running out of money and on the verge of bankruptcy?
And it's also getting to a point, walking will make traffic better. It will just basically fill up the road, so you get to place faster. It's at a point where all the big cities, walking is faster but more dangerous than driving. Like,
Clearly, it's because of all those bike lanes. Don't look at all those billions of dollars that we're about to spend on the highway. That's not it. Most of these are policy issues, policies made by groups of old people sitting in a government building, which are then followed by some other old people who call themselves planners and engineers.
But I do think the government's just too full of too many old people, man. Because like they grew up with certain things and they agree with that certain thing. And say like back when they were kids, the roads probably weren't that crowded. There was a perfect amount of walking space, but shit has happened since then. Stuff has gotten worse, so they just don't know what's happening. They're basically out of touch. You see a lot of old people actually. Over basically 50, 60, 50, 60, you see a decent amount of people just be untouched with stuff that's happening. They'll be like in touch with everything happening around the world. So those people shouldn't be allowed to be in government spaces because they don't know what's happening, what's bad that's happening, or what they need to improve. They're just not in touch with it all.
So to actually make changes and improve our cities, we need more civic engagement. Currently, most people who vote and attend city council meetings are at least 50 years old. The direction our cities are going in is being determined by a bunch of boomers.
And it's going to be the same for us. Like when we become 50, we're going to tell about we're going to try to fix all the problems we had growing up, but we're going to probably ignore all the new problems because we're just out of touch. This is what happens when you get older. You become out of touch. Like you don't experience what other people in other ages experience. So you're almost like unfit to be able to give an opinion about what's happening because you're only going to try to fix stuff you had to deal with when you were a kid and that you've experienced.
Cycling is an important mode of transportation. You know, it helps us reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It improves our health.
What do you mean lies, bro? These people just fucking old boomers. It's not lies. Like, it will clear up the roads. It will make more public transport. People that can't drive or don't want to drive because maybe they know there'll be bad drivers and don't want to drive. It's better in every way. It's just these old farts, man.
But I think Gen Z and even sometimes millennials are underrepresented in this issue. I truly believe that younger people want more walkable cities, and we have the power to make it a reality. This is partly why I started making these videos in the first place. Our cities have a huge impact on younger people, and we deserve to have a say on how they're built.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a professional planner or don't know what exclusionary zoning means. It's time to stop making excuses for our bad.
Yeah, you could definitely do it with these old people that are saying, oh, it'll save greenhouse emissions. Lies? The fuck you mean lies? Do you know what greenhouse emissions are? Those people shouldn't be allowed to have shouldn't be allowed to be in important changes if they don't want less greenhouse emissions. Like, do they even know what that word means? They shouldn't be allowed to be able to even vote in a slight amount. Like, well, that's the end of this video. I do like reacting to videos like this. If you like videos like this, leave a like, subscribe. I have a Discord server in my description and my comments. If you have any videos you want me to react to, send it in the suggestion tab. And well, that's me signing off.